Well, Stanley, we had a technical glitch with the intro. It was bizarre. But we are live. Can you hear me? Oh, he can't hear me. But welcome, everyone, to Paranormal Rangers. We're hoping that John Dover and Michelle Miners will be joining us. Right now, it's Stanley and I. Stanley, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Bill.
Dude, I don't know what just happened. It was the weirdest glitch. It's never happened. The intro that we have for the show did not play. I was like,
oh, no.
Oh, my gosh. That was weird. So how you been?
I'm good. I have been mostly around home past couple of days. You were talking about your bike riding, and I got my treadmill cleaned up, and I did 1.5 miles yesterday. I was proud of myself. So that and doing exercising, and
I'm actually going to share something with you.
Yeah.
If I can pull it up on my computer. Yesterday, because I do a lot of bike riding.
Right.
And I went to the Ashokan Reservoir Trail in the Catskill Mountains up here.
Wow.
And I got to tell you, it was like a spiritual connection to it.
Right.
Because, you're out there. It's beautiful. You're in the wilderness. There's not many people that are on the trail at any given time. But just to see the mountains and the beauty and to just take it all in, it was just simply amazing. I always do 360 videos.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to freeze frame it right here and share it with you. The problem was we're experiencing a lot of smoke from the Canadian wildfire here.
Yeah.
It's pretty tough.
Yep.
But like I said, I'm going to share the screen with everyone.
Yeah.
Right now. And I was on my bike. This is the Catskills. I'm on my bike. And look how beautiful this is, Stan. And everyone that's watching. For those that are listening, come to KGRA DB on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, etc., and you can see what I'm showing on the screen. But you can see the haze.
Oh yeah, you can.
It was just. I mean, this would be beautiful in the fall when the leaves are turning their colors.
Yeah.
And there's low humidity. High visibility. Yeah. This is stunning.
Yeah.
This is what I do. This is what I do to take myself away from everything.
Right.
I'm just doing me. I'm in peace.
Right.
It is, to me, the definition of spirituality, of being at peace with yourself and your surroundings.
Well, for me, growing up, that was when I was connected to, I felt, with my creator spiritually, is when I'm in nature and out there in the beauty of especially the forest areas. John and I and Michelle recently, a while back, went to Toronto, Canada, and on that visit up there with the Ojibwe First Nations, where we were staying, our accommodations one time was in a yurt that was out near a river. And so we were right within about 15 feet of the river, and all the nature's there, geese and birds, and we even did a couple of Bigfoot, I guess, investigations, but where you go out in the nature at night and observe, and it was really wonderful. It was really, that connection to nature's really wonderful. So
that's the key. That's the key. Where you just said the connection to nature.
Yep.
Because if you let your senses go,
right,
you just absorb everything around you. I mean, whether it's scent, sight, hearing, all of it. because when I'm riding the bike, for example, like here, I smell the pine.
Yep.
I hear all the stuff going on around me, like by the lake, the water running or a stream running.
Right.
It's just so peaceful, tranquil, relaxing.
Well, in our day-to-day lives with meetings and things that we're doing, the people that we're in contact with can be, one of two ends of a spectrum. You can meet people that are enlightening and very positive and just full of love, and it's wonderful to be around those people. And then on the opposite end, you can be in contact with people who are very negative and really have what's referred to as a toxic personality. And you really have to be careful about being around and putting yourself around those kind of individuals, because just like you said, in you doing your reset by being out there on the bike, if you don't do that often, that negative energy can accumulate and can end up where, it can affect your emotional health, and it can affect negatively how you feel. You can get sick from it. And so you often have to reset, whether it's like what you do or meditation. I know others that do yoga and things like that to clear that energy and anxieties and negative energies. So we all have to really do that, and it's very important that we do that. We as human beings have to think about those kind of things in our daily life in order to function normally with a clear mind, where we can make really good educated decisions, being safe, driving to and from places to the grocery store or whatever. In order to do that, you have to have a clear mind. And if you're caught in this situation with all that negative energy, your brain is trying to process 99 different things at once, and it can be dangerous. You see it when you get out on the interstate, and some of the commercial truck drivers, will be veering into your lane and things like that, and because they're preoccupied and or they're
distracted. Yeah.
So
yeah. The thing is, though, like when I'm writing, I'm like, this is my way of dealing, like having a spiritual. It happened the other day too on another trail. It was just a feeling, a vibe that came into me. I had to stop on my bike in the middle of nowhere and just absorb it all. There was like a moment. It was a weird vibe that I had. But here, when you're riding a bike, and I have earbuds on, I have music going on. I do some Celtic music. I do music that's in relation to the surroundings. I'm not playing Metallica like I normally, I'm doing some other music. But the thing is, you're focused on riding the bike. You have to have your focus on the actual riding the bike, and you're looking around. Your mind is so in tune to what's going on around you. You don't really have time to think about anything else. You're just so focused on the moment and enjoying the moment. The worst thing is when this goes off. The phone, like I'm getting a message, because I can hear that through the earbuds. That's when I'm like, I wish because I can't. I really can't. I wish I can just go, get rid of everything that's material, technology, and just go and just do me for a few days and get away from everything, to have that peace and make that connection back into my surroundings. But that's a temporary fix. It does work, but then it's like, now I got to drive home and go back to all the nonsense.
Right. Well, I do think if it's possible, we all need to do that disconnect. At times, I'll leave this cell phone behind. I might be hanging out with my sister Deborah and just leave the cell phone behind, and it's actually a really, really good thing, because you're able to converse and talk to somebody, and really be in the moment in what the conversation is about, as opposed to, picking up and looking for texts and things like that. It can be toxic. I've seen where recently there are schools that are adopting a program where the kids take their phone and put it in a container and at the beginning of the day, so they don't even have the distraction of a cell phone during the day when they're at school.
Yes.
And me personally, I think that's a good idea. You and I, Bill, grew up without cell phones, growing up in school, and we are able to focus on our studies and learning. And I think it's very important. I think at times that cell phone can be very toxic.
Yes, I want to show you another little clip. And this is the same ride from yesterday. I'm going to bring this up on the screen. Again, one of those moments. Now, I got the GoPro facing this way. I mean, I can turn it. But just going over this and seeing the mountains and the beauty. And for, who was it? Someone, Rainbow Food Rocks in chat, says he grew up in the Catskills. So he knows.
Yeah.
Or she knows, I'm not sure. But they know that this is
right.
Just, it's, I'm telling you, it's just incredible.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It really is. And I really, really enjoy this.
Oh, yeah.
Just, it's a reconnection. And this area, like most areas, if not all, indigenous in nature. There's a lot of history here.
Right.
And you have to, I put myself into thinking processes like, what was it like? Because this is frozen in time, a lot of it.
Yeah.
The mountains, certain areas. Because the state has protected a lot of this land. This is new. This trail is new. You can see it's recent. Yeah. But I stay there and I can't imagine what it would have been like 300 years ago to be in the same spot.
Right.
What different things were.
Right.
And it was simple.
Right.
And that connection to the spiritual and the energy. It's not just spiritual, it's the energy that you're getting. Like you mentioned, not the negative. It's all positive energy.
Right.
And a respect for nature and the animals that dwell there. It's common,
Right. It's interconnected.
Yes.
All
absolutely.
So what you just brought up brings us to our topic today, which is dealing with spiritual and energetic attachments. And so just what you've said, if we stop and realize that there have been people living on these lands repeatedly, different cultures, for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, no matter where you go, there have been so many cultures and civilizations that have occupied these lands. Well, each of us have a life force or spirit or soul or a chi, referred to by many different names within different cultures, but that energy or life force that keeps us, that when we're alive, when we're physically able to move and think, and all human beings have had that energy. And when we transition from this physical world and we leave our body and our body goes back to the earth, that energy and life force continues on. It will continue on and on and on, and it's always there. It doesn't, people like Einstein talked about energy and electricity and these kind of things. And for them, it's not something that vanishes or evaporates or disappears. electricity and energy only changes form. It's never really destroyed or anything. So that life force continues on, and our spirit continues on too. And those energies can actually attach to different objects. You look at, let's say, when you come out to Monument Valley or the Southwest, and you see these ruin sites, where you have the pictographs and petroglyphs, and you have to remember that where you have that, you also have human burial there. So
Yeah.
if there are artifacts and things like that on the grounds there in that region, those artifacts can have those kind of energies attached to them. So John Dover and I and Michelle, we remind people that when you come out to the Southwest and other places, it's wonderful to visit those sites and learn, but you have to be aware that, especially if you're sensitive to energies, if you're a sensitive person to those kind of energy, you have to be careful, because those energies are still there at times, and sometimes can affect you, But you have to be careful. Don't be collecting those artifacts, because there can be energies attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't think it's right for people just to be taking artifacts from a place that has such oral tradition and, historical significance, and also sacred. I mean, you're disturbing that. I don't think that's appropriate just to have it as a souvenir. Do you know what I mean?
It's like if somebody went into a Catholic church and found an object within, the church, and that's pretty. I think I'll, and it'd be no different from that, and like you said, these are sacred locations, and but there again too, just like we said, you can have positive and negative energies. So in our world, we have today, going back, there was people like Charles Manson, and that were serial killers or caused the death of many people. Well, in the past, in those cultures, you may have had a person that was negative and evil, as you might say, that was a bad person. And so those energies can be in those locations too. So it's not always, just like you said, a lot of times you feel just the positive energy of being in nature and everything, but there are places, and this, like in the Smoky Mountain areas and stuff, where there are some phenomenon out there, these shape-shifting things.
Dark forces.
Yes, very. And so I think, depending on the cultures and the things that transpired in those locations, we can come along and experience those kind of things today, and it's can be shocking to us, but you have to consider how many other humans have lived in that location and died, and
absolutely,
all of that. So
absolutely. There's actually interesting. I didn't mean to cut you, Stan, but
no, go ahead, Bill.
There's an interesting comment coming from Kathy in chat. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Hi, Bill and Stanley. I think everyone should take an anthropology class sometime in their life, learn about ancient cultures and how modern world evolved from them.
Yeah.
To learn a lot.
I think it's important to know and respect all cultures. I've said several times, and I think I even made the remark in my book, The Paranormal Ranger, where, there was cultures like Adolf Hitler and the Third Reich and Nazis, where they wanted their society, everybody exactly the same. Everybody dressed the same. Everybody had the same look and talk. And to me, in humanity, the greatest thing is our differences.
Individualism. Yes, absolutely.
You look at the Mexican culture and Hispanic culture, Latino cultures, and you look at what they've contributed to society, and you look at the foods and the arts and the music. It's so beautiful and so wonderful, and not only with the Mexican culture, but in Italy and Greece and all of these other cultures that have contributed to mankind. And it's the differences between us that's the beauty. I was raised by a mother who taught us children to respect all cultures, all peoples, and regardless of the religion or even political beliefs, it doesn't matter. If somebody is in need, you, as a community, come together and help that person through their problems, and that's really what I think society has lost, and we really need to get back to that kind of thing.
I agree.
Helping each other.
Sadly, here, and Rainbow might know this, being from the Catskills.
Right.
We used to have a lot of festivals here.
Right.
Celtic, German, and depending on where you go in the region, of all ethnicities. Right. I've gone to the powwows in Bear Mountain. Right. I mean, you name it, I go to. Why? Yeah. To experience the culture.
Right.
To enjoy the music and the food and having conversation. And I'm going to tell you, every time I've gone, never have I felt uncomfortable.
Right.
It's inviting other people. They embrace it. They want people, at least in the past, they wanted people to share. I never, ever felt a negative vibe when I used to go to these festivals. Sadly, they just don't do them anymore for whatever reasons. And I think that is so important to keep that going. It's because there's folks like me that want to go and experience that, like you, because I think it also creates diversity and understanding. And I think a lot of people have the fear of the unknown because they're just not familiar. And they go by stereotypes. Right. But when you experience it with folks and the culture, and you see they're people just like you, and you have a lot in common. Yes, we have our differences on how we were raised and everything else, but you have respect for other people's opinions and their differences. And I love it. I love it. I love to embrace it. But I'm a social bee. I like to go out and do things. But like you said, with the energies, every time when I'm going bike riding, I've never experienced yet a dark energy feeling, like a gut feeling. This doesn't actually happen once on a trail. Right. I was going to go to a campsite. It was indigenous, but I didn't feel right. I didn't feel like going there. There was something. Your gut instinct was telling you that there is something there where you're in tune to that, and you have to be cautious about those energies. I left. I didn't stay. So, but the vast majority, it only happened once. The vast majority of the time, it's like that. Right. Just embracing it. And like you said, it could be an energy that's affecting me to feel and think this way. Right. I don't know if this has happened to you or those that are watching right now, where you have these dreams or memories of people you've never seen, places you've never been. And I don't know exactly where that comes from or if it's coming from outward, inward, but I definitely agree with you in generations or past energies, life forces affecting an individual. Well, that deja vu that some people experience being in those locations, some people are in tune to what they refer to as past lives and things of that nature. Sometimes I think people can have a past life. If you consider those spirits that they continue on, I think that energy can
can form, and we end up with energies and memories of places that physically we've never gone to in our lifetime, but we make that connection. So there's so much to learn and to try to understand with these kind of things. But I think one thing I want to get at is that, so, I'm one of these people. I like to go to swap meets and thrift markets, thrift stores, and flea markets.
Yeah, Mom
I like
does.
to go to those places and see things and look at things, and even like in the local Goodwills and things like that, you see things that other people have once owned.
Yes.
And something that maybe was treasured by an individual in their lifetime. And so there can be a lot of energy. Let's say a vase, for example, a vase that a person purchases, and because of its beauty and that attraction to that particular object. But you have to realize that someone once owned that. Someone once looked at that and held it in high regard. Excuse me, and there can be an energy or an attachment to that. And so I think it's very important to, if at all possible, with those kind of things, you and I know, Bill, that are familiar with smudging, or the term where people cedar or sage, or use sweetgrass, even incense and things to clear those objects of those. If it has an energy to it, clearing that energy from that, so that you can possess that and have it in your home without any issues or anything like that. And I think it's important to consider those kind of things. Most women and even men will go into a department store and they'll see a jacket or a blouse maybe, and they'll try it on, but like with the jacket, you don't know who else has put that jacket on, and you come along and put that on, and it can, if that, depending on the individual that had put that on before, it can still retain those kind of energies. So you just have to be cautious in those kind of things and how we live our lives each day, and not to be paranoid. Me and John, in the years that we worked and conducted the paranormal investigations as rangers, we wouldn't give in to the fear that some of these objects and some of these investigations would try to elicit. And we're not going to do that. Sometimes these negative energies will try to get you to fear it, and we're not going to do that. We have a stronger faith in a higher power that will protect us in those situations. Plus, we know how to deal with those kind of things today. So, anyway.
It's funny you say that, and I'm trying, as we're doing this, I'm trying to find the image that I have. In my bedroom, and Kathy and Chat knows this, I have a bureau with a big mirror on it. And Mom bought it in Florida. It was used.
Yeah.
There is definitely energy in this mirror.
Oh, yeah.
So much so that I actually took a photo of this mirror to show friends. And there's what looks like a man in the mirror.
Yeah.
So like you said, attachments to things that people prior, they owned it. And it's incredible. It does exist. There's no doubt about it in my mind that this does happen. attachments to items. So even when you, like you said, I enjoy going to them too, to all these thrift shops and, you know, going all over the place, but you never know what you're getting.
Right. True. You just have to be careful or cautious, you know. I'm not saying not to frequent those places, and I'm not saying don't purchase something that you find very beautiful, and that sometimes you'll have an attraction to those things. You know, maybe it's a quartz crystal or something that you find, and you find the beauty in that object. And but just remember that there can be energies attached to that. And you know, even I think in our last program, I brought up the Annabelle doll that was in the news recently.
Yeah.
Which that Annabelle doll comes from an investigation that Ed and Lorraine Warren, that are no longer with us, being paranormal investigators. In one of their investigations, there was the doll that was being possessed. It was originally said that the little doll had belonged to a little girl that had died, and the doll was given as a gift to an adult woman who, she loved the doll. She really liked the doll, and but it got to the point where she was treating the doll like a person, you know, setting it at the table and things like that. When her and her roommate were there, and
Companionship, or
so this doll gradually began exhibiting paranormal, you know, where it would move and things like that, and that's where the investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren got involved with it, and it was determined that at that time that the doll was possessed with some type of demonic entity, but it was passed to other people throughout the years, and I know that the guy Zach Bagans that has the TV show Ghost Adventures, I think it is, and he has a museum with all kinds of paranormal phenomenon in there, things from the Charles Manson murders and other serial killers, and in that
he has a lot of items. Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that doll was even in there, but even Zach, according to what I've read, had some very negative experiences that I think were later attributed to that doll. But there was an individual recently that was the caretaker for that doll, and he was only in his 50s and he passed away. They were on a tour back east, touring with this doll and I guess talking about paranormal and doing lectures. But he passed away suddenly, and he was a young guy, and many were attributing that doll to possibly playing a role in him dying, and because it was said that doll has a very, very negative, strong attachment to it, or possession, you know, to that level where it's possessed with something. So,
but
there's restrictions, you know.
What about? And I think I found the photo, by the way, to share with everyone. I'm hoping. Yeah, I found it. Now, again, pareidolia is a factor. Always you have to consider what you see.
As an investigator, you have to be aware of that.
Yeah, you might see something that others just don't see.
Right.
And I'm going to share this image for everyone to see, and you can reach your own conclusions. But I took this picture in my room, and I just showed the mirror part. There's a bigger picture, but this is the mirror. This is highlighting what's in the mirror. And I've never shown this to you, Stan, but I'm going to show it to you now. Okay. Do you see anything in that mirror? I'm not even going to tell you. So that's why I say it that way.
It's
See,
still loading on my part. I
oh,
don't
it's
know.
loading? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me when you can see it.
Oh, yeah. I on the I think on the screen down below, I think there's an image there, but I don't know.
Okay. All right. Let me show you with my mouse here.
Okay.
Look at his eyes, brows, nose, mouth,
Oh yeah.
hair, shoulder. See him? I mean,
Well,
look at that. There
I
is
see, but
freaking man in the
uh, in our mind's eye, what we imagine, and there
pareidolia. I need to take that into effect.
pareidolia, matrixing, sometimes those things come into play, but other times there are artifacts within photographs that aren't due to sun flares and other,
Excuse me.
explainable, normal, or natural occurring phenomenon. And sometimes it happens. Sometimes it happens, and especially with, like you said, an older dresser or armoire. It can hold a lot of beauty, but somebody else owned that at one time, and
Even the way he looks, it looks like someone from the past.
right.
That's why I mean, I'm not saying it is. All I'm saying, it definitely has purpose. And I've had people investigate this house because I have activity that goes on in this house.
Right.
And they said, get rid of that mirror. The mirror's still in my room.
Right.
But I've also had incredible, vivid, lucid dreams with a lot of sleep paralysis in that room.
Right.
I don't
Right.
sleep that much. I don't.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Right.
But I want to ask you about something regarding energy and the
Sure.
collection of energy, because I have them around the house. Dream catchers. What about a dream catcher?
Well, it in native culture, those items are there, and a lot of times it has an item like that has roots going back maybe hundreds and hundreds of years in what it was originally used for. But today, the thought is that a dream catcher can be placed in one's sleeping quarters or bedroom, and
Here.
it will attract in simply in its design. It looks like that of a woven spider web, and that it would catch negative energy.
Keep going. I want to see if I have mine right there to show everybody. Keep going, Sam.
Yeah, so it's designed in that way, and but there again, with something like that, I think that whether it's that or smudging or clearing objects of their negative energies, that the biggest part of that is the intent that you put into that. When we pray, it's the intent that we put into those prayers. If we're just going through the motion, and even with smudging and things of that, it's not going to have the effect that you intend. Just going through those motions, and so it really a person's focus and the intention that's placed into that. So a dream catcher definitely could serve as a means of protecting one in one's bedroom. You can further that by...
Hold that thought.
Sure.
You can further it by, Mom has it in the room. She doesn't want me to touch it. But I'm going to tell you a true story where you were just going to. It can also hold that thought. When we had Superstorm Sandy here,
Yeah.
a giant willow tree fell on my house. It fell on that side of the house. We had dream catchers on this side of the house. Mom, she totally is convinced that those dream catchers protected this house from getting completely destroyed.
Well, again, a lot of the energy and intent that we put in those kind of things. You know, recently I was gifted a little clay turtle that a special little one made for me for my birthday, and it's beautifully decorated. But with that object, you know, the positive energy that went into it by this child that made that object, that person is very, very special to me. And now that object that I have, I've named that object, that little turtle, Scooter, and it sits in my bedroom. And for me, it serves as like the dream catcher. It's there to protect over me when I sleep. You know, I sleep wonderful at night, even doing all of the paranormal and whatever. I sleep really, really well. But I think it's important in how we treat these things such as crystals and other special, you know, gemstones and these kind of things. Some of them do have very special properties that we can use for protection and stuff, but you have to learn and educate yourself in what they're capable of doing and how to handle it. There's some gemstones and minerals that, you know, you can't wash, you can't expose them to water, or they'll end up melting and stuff like that. So you have to be really careful of that. So, but that's interesting what you said about the dream catchers.
Oh, believe me, I can call her and she'll tell you all about it. But I also believe, like you said, the power that you put into things, the power of prayer as well, regardless of what religion or what faith or however you view or deem spirituality to be. I am going to grab something that's going to make me emotional, and I want to share it with you and the audience.
Okay.
I'll just preface it by saying my brother suffered from schizophrenia. He was manic depressive. He tried to take his life a few times.
Yeah.
And, you know, he did something that the doctors gave zero chance for him to survive. And I'm not going to get into details.
Right.
But,
right.
So we went to the Grotto, which is a Catholic location, and we lit a candle.
Yeah.
And again, the power of giving, of the belief, the power of faith. I'm going to go grab this candle right now. And again, this thing, consider pareidolia. So I just want you, while I go grab it, I want you to speak about that power of faith and spirituality while I step away and grab this camera.
Well, I think, you know, each one of us have a sense of spirituality in us, even external of our individual connection to religion and the churches. And I mean, with that, we have our faith and our spiritual beliefs, but innately, we are born with a sense of spirituality and a connection to our creator that is that goes beyond man's religions and churches, and we're all born with that. And even, like I said before, even as a child, I had a strong connection to my creator. Where I grew up in Oklahoma, in the northeast Oklahoma, it was heavily forested. And at times as a kid, sometimes I'd disappear into the woods and even be out there after dark. And there was no sense of fear or being out there, because I always felt that the Creator was always with me wherever I went. And so I had this. And I think we're all born with that sense of spirituality and a sense of where we fit within our physical world, within our family, within our community, and even within the universe. With Native peoples and First Nations peoples, there is the conveying that everything is interconnected. Everything has a life force, and everything is interconnected. The trees and the plants and the animals, we're all connected to them. And there should be a respect for each of those things. And we should live our life, in Navajo, they refer to that as hajo, or having a sense of balance in every respect of your life, whether it's the foods that you eat or drink, how you take care of yourself spiritually, and how you take care of yourself with what you eat. We can end up, doing harm to ourselves depending on our diet and how we eat. So there needs to be a balance, and trying to have that balance in every aspect of our lives. So I think it's very important.
I could not find the candle, which is not a good thing, because it's somewhere in this house, and that is making me a little nervous, because this is a precious artifact for us, for Mom and I. But I'll just describe. So usually these candles, they were blue in color, and then when you burn them, there would be nothing there. We're just on this one. It looked like it had a bishop with a woman praying. Mm-hmm. It burnt this image into it.
Wow.
And my brother, he survived. He was a vegetable quadriplegic, and he survived for 4.5 years until he passed away. Wow. But the point is, the power that you give into something.
Right.
And, the faith and the belief. And it was actually a miracle. It was a miracle that he even survived.
Wow.
What he endured. So, maybe next time I'll look for it and we speak into chat. But also, someone mentioned in here, it's also about precognition and premonition. There's a lot of times that you may have a dream, and that dream can turn into some type of reality in the future, because it's happened to me.
Right.
So
I think
the power
dreams play a really significant role in dealing with the supernatural and the paranormal, and not necessarily as a negative thing, but I think that it goes beyond what we're capable of understanding a lot of times, but it does have a connection. So, definitely.
Well, we have about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Any closing thoughts on spiritual and energetic attachments, and how you can prevent negative attachments?
I think we're, again, just to summarize, we're exposed to those kind of energies every day as we explore our lives and out there in the world. And so it's there. It's something that is real and something that is there. If you are within your home, or maybe even your vehicle, you're experiencing something of a supernatural or paranormal nature, a phenomenon, I would dare say that you need to step back and assess, let's say, your home. And just like you said about the dresser, look at those kind of things that are there, that could hold these kind of attachments. And when they do, you're basically going through and determining these things in your life. We usually, in our lives, we have a lot of things in our home that could potentially have those kind of energies. We have to identify that object that might have that energy and determine the best way to clean or cleanse that energy. If we make every effort to clean that and clear it, or even have somebody else clear the object, and it still has those kind of things attached to it, then you may have to consider just getting rid of it. I've experienced those things. The coins that have happened to me starting in 2009. It's still there, to this day, and I continue to hold on to the coins. I don't feel it's something that is negative that I have to get rid of. But hello, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, I had technical difficulties. I'm currently in California, in a hotel and trying to connect to the internet, so our internet went down. But it's nothing like later.
Yeah.
Better than not being here. So
well, maybe next week we have a continuation of this conversation dealing with the spiritual and energetic attachments with you and John and Stanley, of course, as well. But because we only have a couple of minutes left, but Benno from Oz says this: my brother has a rare terminal illness, so I carved a stone for him with symbols and prayed I will give it to him on his birthday. Yes, the power of that.
The intention and energy you put into that, that particular object can go a long way to help individuals. And so, but yeah, I think that we can do a continuation. There's so much more. I mean, you and me, Bill, covered a lot of ground, but there's so much more that can be addressed, on this subject. So I just wish especially all of the people that commented, Bino and Rainbow Food Rocks and their families. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. And thank you again, Michelle, for coming on.
For like 2 minutes.
All right. Well, everyone have a great night on behalf of Stanley and Michelle. Have a great night. We will see you next Wednesday, same time. So come by and we'll continue the conversation, or at least the Rangers will continue the conversation.
We'll be here.
Yes. And don't forget Stanley's book. Don't forget Stanley's book, Paranormal Ranger. It's available out there, and soon it will be available
paperback coming out October 1st. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Have a great night. Till next week, you all have a great rest of your evening. Good night.